Good morning and welcome to Payment Canada Summit panel. Welcome to everybody, for everybody who's attending today's session. Really excited to have a discussion around pay with points this morning and an alternative payment option. Really, the confluence of technology and consumer demand has driven a significant change in the payment sector. This has really only increased over the last 18 months as alternative payment options have gained increased attention from brands in an effort really to retain customers and find new revenue streams. The focus of today's discussion really highlights what we believe is the next big trend, one being embraced by brands like Amazon, Amex, Citi, and others, the ability to convert loyalty points to a fiat currency and pay for purchases online or in store, a really unique opportunity. By increasing the liquidity of points, payment providers, banks, financial institutions, and others can potentially access over $200 billion in untapped currency available to consumers. To provide more detail around pay with points and how it's being embraced by brand owners, I'd like you to welcome today's panel. First, it's Arika, Selleck, Vice President of Product Management at Fiserv. Arika is with Fiserv Card Services, leading large-scale transformation initiatives and the client analytics and loyalty solutions area of Fiserv. Chetan Kanungo is Director of Strategic Partnerships at PayPal. Chetan is currently leads payment and product partnerships with financial institutions for PayPal, while also heading PayPal's global pay with rewards partnerships and growth strategy. And Jonathan Silver, CEO of Engage. As the Chief Executive Officer of Engage, Jonathan's responsible for managing all facets of the business. He leads the long-term corporate strategy, marketing, and sales. And my name is Nick Ralph, and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. Let's get right into the questions. So we'll start with just somewhat of an overview of consumer trends and market drivers. Just to the panel, what do you see as in loyalty that will really lead to these changes for your business? So what is happening within the market that's driving a significant amount of change? Why don't we start with Arika?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. And hi to Chetan and Jonathan. I've worked very closely with both of these guys in the loyalty space. So in terms of consumer trends that we're seeing, obviously the past year has been just insane in terms of what's happened in the payment space. So the rise of digital payments and contactless in particular has been huge. And then in the reward space, I would say the other thing is flexibility. So the world that used to exist where we had these travel cards that gave you points and you could use them for airlines, that whole world has just been entirely flipped upside down. So we're seeing a lot of changes in terms of people wanting flexibility for rewards and being able to customize what they get rewarded for. So instead of just having a purely travel card, you might want to choose what category you get rewarded on. So those are some of the big trends that we've noticed at Fiserv.
Chetan?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I think similar to Arika, I think first is this overall move to digital, which isn't anything new, right? But the pandemic has dramatically sped up this shift. Early on, consumers had no choice but to do all of their shopping online. But even today, as we talk to consumers, the majority state that post-pandemic, they want to continue to shop online at their current elevated levels because it's convenient, it's safer, and it saves time. Broadly, in terms of the second thing we see is this blurring of lines, right, between physical and digital. Today, with the help of in-context payments, you can order online, pick up in store, order ahead to pick up your coffee. Later on, you can even order a cab and the payments piece completely disappear. Finally, we're just seeing this, embracing of alternative payment methods. And this includes a lot of PayPal's products, such as Pay in 4, our buy now, pay later solution, or QR codes, or crypto, or more fundamentally, pay with rewards. And we truly see these alternative payment methods, including using your reward points in different ways, is a key pillar of this growth for digital, which we see is going to maintain post-pandemic.
Jonathan, your thoughts?
Hey, thanks, Nick, for the intros, and nice to see both of you as well. For us, we're seeing the exact same trends and accelerated as well. And the traditional, I'm going to save up for my trip for 3 years, disappeared. Right? And it wasn't a gradual change, it just stopped overnight. And the adoption of my points as a form of payment and as a form of engaging my lifestyle just went from 0 to 100. And so what we also saw was the increase of cashback cards And so what we're dealing with our customers is how do we get the flexibility of a cashback card, but still maintain that engagement and loyalty of a points card. And with our customers who've adopted Pay with Points have seen an increase in customer retention, customer engagement, spend versus the control groups. And as Chetan and Arika mentioned, we've also seen the convergence or the disappearance of the lines between what's online, what's offline, and everything is just a seamless putting control inside of a member's hands, so that they have control and they will actually engage with the brand in a way that's meaningful and relevant to them. And gone are the days of dictating, here's my program. It's now all about consumer choice and what's going to have meaning and value to a consumer.
It is interesting, particularly as we've looked at the last 18 months, a lot of these trends certainly have accelerated the contactless payments and then certainly Pay with Points. So just as we get down to a little bit more specifics, just your thoughts on utilizing points as payment. Is there something that you're seeing within your analysis or your consumer feedback that's really driving this? And also, I guess a third portion is your business enabling this type of payment option? So Keating, I know you raised it as an opportunity. Why don't we start with you in terms of a response?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. From our perspective, we actually enabled Pay with Rewards back in 2018. We launched with Citi in the US. Today, I'm very proud to say we're live with most of the large banks and issuers in the US. So Amex, JP Morgan Chase, Discover, US Bank, Cap One, to name a few. Additionally, we're live with more than 600 small and medium banks and credit unions through our partnership with Fiserv. I'm very excited to say, in the coming months, we'll be launching with, in partnership with Arika and Fiserv, another 700 or so credit unions and long tail banks. So for us, I think we've seen immense adoption of the product. Today, we have about 16 million customers enrolled in Pay with Rewards in the US. And by the end of the year, we anticipate that number to be around 25 to 30 million customers. So very positive feedback, a very strong platform that we've built here that we continue to invest in and grow. And, I'm also very excited to share that while we're live in the US at the moment, we, in the coming months, we do have our first international expansion launch, beginning with Australia.
Wow, that's interesting. Arika, I think as Keating referred to you, that why don't we get your response?
No worries. Yeah. So yeah, like Chetan said, we have recently launched Pay with Points, or we're looking to launch Pay with Points in the next year or so with PayPal. What we do find so interesting is that this has been around. So when Chetan says it's been around since 2018, I've been using my Citi card to purchase things on Amazon for the past several years. But to bring this technology down to mid and small market clients, banks and credit unions, it's just going to open up the world, I think, for many of our financial institutions here at Fiserv. So we're going to be looking to launch that in the next year or so. But ultimately, what it does is it really just turns on flexibility for the clients, right? So, like Jonathan said, we don't just have the pure cashback cards or pure travel cards. You now have this option where we've reduced friction. So when you go to check out on Amazon, you automatically see your points show up. And I oftentimes use that on my personal card just as a way to get a discount on anything, any sort of everyday spend. So in terms of, turning this on, it's absolutely something we're looking to do. The goal would be to get to as many endpoints as possible. Merchants, fuel, being able to use your points at the pump to pay. We've seen things like paying off student loans, which are really critical to the smaller banks and credit unions as they want to tap into, more engaging ways to attract millennial members. So it's really just going to open up the world for us in terms of utilizing points as payment. But I think many of our clients haven't necessarily had access to this in the past. And we'll be looking to open this up in the next year.
Jonathan?
Yeah, so, we've seen this demand across all of our clients. And how do we get our members, how do they get their members more engaged? At the same time, the challenge we've had is, the two big players in this market space today are Amazon and PayPal, and they're big, heavy lifts for our customers from an integration point of view. And so what we're trying to do is democratize that process by enabling clients to get access to, whether it's Amazon, PayPal's, crypto, fuel, all the other options in a more seamless and efficient way for our customers. And so where we've started our integrations over the last year, we have seen an unbelievable uptake in consumer engagement and member engagement. And as we go through this, I'll share some of that data with you. But most importantly, in getting those cards to front of the wallet. And so, from a sponsoring bank's point of view, it's driving a huge ROI, while at the same time driving a higher member engagement, which is the key. So more spend, more utilization of those points. And so this trend has, as we said, accelerated and is here to stay. And now the goal is to make it as easy and seamless as possible for all members in a program, and then for all of the partners and the clients as well. At the end of the day, we talk about $100 billion worth of points that get unused every year. And how do we get those revolving in a more cost-effective way for our customers, so that it's not an expense, it's a liability reduction, and at the same time driving higher member engagement and more utilization. So this is here, and it's growing rapidly.
That's interesting. Maybe I can stop and key on one thing here for Keating and for Arika. I guess when we talk about this trend, it's really driven by a number of different features and elements, including both consumer demand, but also some of the competitive situation. What role has competitive or activity really driven this adoption for you? Chetan, why don't we start with you?
Sure, thanks, Nick. I think from our perspective, a lot of this is rooted in PayPal's mantra of choice. Back in 2016, we stopped our practice of steering our customers to use ACH or EFT as their funding source when they really just wanted to use their debit or credit cards. But really, over there, what we did in 2016 was enable and promote consumer choice. And for us, what that means is, really for our customers to use whatever funding instrument they desire, including reward points, as a payment tender in transactions for PayPal. As long as we at PayPal can make it ubiquitous, frictionless, and consistent across all of our customer experiences, to really make this a smooth experience for our customers. I think that is paramount. So for us, it's really underpinned by that mantra of choice and giving our customers an optionality to use their points in a way they like. And since we went live in 2018, we've seen them adopt the product. We've seen them ask about it. We've seen our banking partners come to us with very positive feedback on, hey, how can we do more? Can we enable more portfolios? Can we expand geographies? Can we, have marketing offers tied to this? Just last year, just with everything going on in the pandemic, we work with an issuer to increase the conversion rate on their points for charities and the PayPal Giving Fund that supports a lot of charitable organizations. So really, it's turned into a very, very neat tool for banks, and really, really well received by our customers.
Arika?
Sure, yeah. So I'll sort of take a separate lens from Chetan in this, in that, obviously PayPal's interacting with the consumer, so the actual cardholder. Fiserv, our job is to help our issuers who are ultimately trying to get their consumers to engage more with their cards and keep them top of wallet. So what we're seeing is that, we haven't launched Pay with Points yet, but we're super excited to do it. And all of our financial institutions that sit behind us are really excited, simply because our data shows that even with traditional rewards programs, folks will spend and swipe their cards about 3 times more than for those that are actively engaging in reward programs, swipe three times more and spend 3 times more than those who are not. So Pay with Points, we think, is just going to dramatically increase that delta between active engagers and those that are non-actively engaged. And then for us, another opportunity here is that we service both debit and credit. So we're looking to launch this not only with credit cards, but also with some of our smaller financial institutions that are unregulated in the debit space. So this is going to be a huge differentiator in that space as well. And then, like Chayton and Jonathan have both said, the goal here, I mean, what we've noticed in terms of, if you think about the different redemption channels you can provide, there's just less friction. You don't have to go to a website and take your points and convert them into cash or convert them into travel. It automatically shows up at your checkout when you go to PayPal, when you go to Amazon, or any other merchant that participates in Pay with Rewards. So it's just making the engagement much less. There's much less friction involved, or bottlenecks that would prevent a cardholder to use their points. So I think it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us.
Excellent. And Jonathan, obviously competition is a little bit different from your perspective. How would you comment on that?
So we're in the middle. So we see it both from a client sponsor side and from a partner side. So when I think about it from a partner side, we are enabling a frictionless payment at that partner for a participant to use an alternative currency. And it drives incremental spend, and it drives higher frequency of transactions and more brand loyalty to that sponsoring that participating partner. And so, we look at it from if you're a partner, just like you take a Visa, MasterCard debit card, this becomes a natural extension of an alternative payment where you're accessing hundreds of billions of dollars worth of currency in a way that's frictionless to a consumer. And it does become a competitive advantage for those retail partners that are participating. On the bank sponsor side, we are actually seeing this as a way to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. So from a first mover, so the quicker you get up and running, the better off you are, because everyone will get there eventually. But more importantly, it's about engaging members. And a lot of our customers are doing it at a lower cost of redemption. And so what we're finding is, we're on aggregate amount of existing customers right now, we are seeing a 6 times increase, a 600% increase on merchandise and versus a traditional merchandise and gift card redemption. And that's coming from travel and cash at a lower cost per point. And so it's not a small change or a small shift. That is a fundamental shift in the economics of a loyalty program. And those economics allow you to drive member value back to participants in other ways, whether it's your own promotions. And so you get a better ecosystem for a member. And as we, Arika had mentioned gas, and we're going down the point where we're having conversations where I'd like you to walk into a coffee shop, tap your card to pay, and push a button and say, I use my points for that micro transaction. And now we can do that in a cost-effective manner, which didn't exist years ago. And so it comes back down to making my loyalty program a true part of my DNA and my ongoing lifestyle. And that drives loyalty, and that gives our customers a competitive advantage, because if we can get that stickiness for those members, it drives down attrition rates and increases our retention and spend. It also, when we enable this on cash cards, it drives the stickiness engagement of a loyalty program while still maintaining the flexibility of a cash program. So those members get the best of both worlds. And the problem, we have with cash cards, if somebody comes up with a better offer, it's easy to switch. There's no brand loyalty, there's no stickiness. This creates a form of stickiness that you get from a traditional loyalty program inside of a cash environment. So that's a game changer for our customers as well, from a retention point of view.
So maybe building off that a little bit, there's alternatives in the marketplace for loyalty. I mean, obviously we've had gift cards for a while. We've had a number of other options as it comes to loyalty and points. How does loyalty points as a payment fare in the competition with other options? I think crypto is obviously one of the big discussion points right now. But how does it compare? Is it a better value? Does the consumer see this as a better opportunity? And maybe I'll start with you, Jonathan, on that.
So it's an interesting thing, because it's not, your points are not a rational conversation from a consumer point of view. Now, there is standard bell curve of distribution. We have people on the top end who will figure out the value of the points, and they'll complain that, hey, my Amex points are only worth 70 cents on Amazon and they're worth $1 here. And so for that group, it's a value equation. But when you get to the masses in the middle, that frictionless experience is key. And so it's a moment in time decision. I went to go pay for my card. I clicked on to pay with PayPal, and I see my point balance there, and I'm like, oh, I can get this for free, or I can get this for a discount. And what we like most about it is it creates a direct link between the loyalty program and the transaction. So the challenge with a gift card, and look, I have to be careful because we do hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gift cards every year. But a member redeems for a gift card, it gets sent to them, whether it's a digital experience or whether it's a physical experience. There is a delay. In a digital world, I get into my wallet and then I have to go and utilize it. This removes all of that friction. And whenever we talk about this, the conversation we have with our customers, in the good old days when we were in a room with somebody, we'd go, hey, who's got gift cards sitting in a drawer that are unused? And everybody puts up their hand. I think I could furnish my house with unused gift cards in a top drawer. And so this gives the member 100% of the value, and that I'm not redeeming for a $100 gift card, spending $80 and have 20 sitting at the back end. So you've gone from a disjointed process to a completely inline, real-time, 100% value back to the participant value proposition, which means when you're in a cashback world, we actually can do equal value without having, without the member being discounted, having to pay for shipping of a gift card or transaction fees. And so it fundamentally changes a member experience. And that has given all of our customers a huge competitive advantage as well, as you come back to around spend and retention and revolving. And so it's basically a game changer. And then, as we went through COVID and all supply chains got disrupted, from a member point of view, Amazon seemed to be the only company last year who could still ship stuff every day. And members got this unlimited choice and got their stuff delivered the next day. And so you delivered an experience, or even for groceries, where members could actually pay for their groceries with points and then go pick it up or have it delivered. You change the fundamental utilization of our points program from an aspirational to a lifestyle. And that is key from a brand value proposition for everybody involved in the value equation.
And maybe I'll pass this over to Chetan. You indicated like 16 million now are enrolled in the Pay with Rewards, 25 to 30 million customers by the end of the year. I mean, obviously you see this as a real opportunity for your consumers and your customers. And how do you see that playing out with other payment options available?
I think similar to what Jonathan said, Nick, I think we see this really as an additional kind of means for a consumer to transact. The world changed so much last year. It gave our customers an additional place of liquidity, additional pool of capital per se that was just sitting around that can't be used because they weren't able to travel. And through PayPal's millions of merchants, a consumer can use those points for what they want at merchants they want. Right? For everyday purchases such as groceries or retail, or even those one-off purchases such as travel, and partnering with PayPal or integrating with PayPal gives you that gamut, that wide range of merchant options for consumers to utilize on. So they're not confined in their choice; they're not limited in their choice. Further, what's unique here is that when you're using rewards within PayPal, the consumer can fund the whole purchase with their point balance, or they can what we call split fund it, put some of it on points and put the rest on their card. So really there's immense optionality for the consumer. And from a bank perspective, what's really fundamental there is what we see, majority of our points transactions are actually split funded. So this whole setup actually is driving additional spend on the card, which is very beneficial for our issuing bank partners. So I think the ecosystem, the flywheels, essentially we like to call a win-win-win for all the parties involved. So we don't necessarily look at it from a competitive landscape. versus vis-a-vis other funding options, we actually find it as additive and really completing that picture for the consumer and their relationship with their issuing bank.
Arika, your thoughts coming from Fiserv's perspective?
Yeah, I'll echo actually a lot of what Chayton just said. So similarly, we don't think of it as competitive. It's just a new redemption opportunity for our cardholders or for our issuers' cardholders. But one thing that we haven't touched much on, right, is in our space in particular, right, when we're dealing with, the smaller banks and credit unions that exist, all across the world, getting millennials and Gen Z has been a bit of a harder base to tap into because they're often banking with now neobanks or even the bigger banks that they have more access to and have a better digital presence. So this is just another foray into a more digital opportunity for redemptions and less of the catalog experience that existed 10, 15 years ago. So for us, we think it's going to be a great way to attract younger consumers. And, as I'll just echo some of the points that Jonathan and Chayton have both talked about, the flexibility of being able to buy whatever you want. As Jonathan mentioned, I had to chuckle a little because I had an Amazon package coming every day to my house, or probably 10 packages coming every other day to my house during the pandemic. So just being able to buy anything you want instead of, taking a catalog that has, here's the 2 backpack options you can get. Now you can get backpacks, you can get anything you want, really. So, I mean, the world of flexibility has opened up. Everyday spend is now an option because of this, using points as currency. And the value is often higher. So usually cash back is the best at a 1-to-1 rate. But, as Jonathan mentioned, some of the traditional redemption options have much lower conversion ratios, and that smart folks like the points guy will go and do the comparisons and show consumers what those channels actually look like. But then the thing not to skimp on, right? So Chayton mentioned the fact that we're seeing split tender transactions happening a lot. One of the things I heard from some of our issuers is, well, doesn't it actually lower the interchange we get on this transaction because they're spending less? It's, they're going to show the points as the currency, and the value is actually going to be less. But the thing that offsets that is the higher engagement that we're going to drive based on these pay with points options, because there is a psychology. So Jonathan mentioned this, but I think about it all the time where, I know my Chase Sapphire only because I see it every single time I go to check out at Amazon. So this ability to even apply 60 cents to a transaction and I see my Chase Sapphire and I know that that's the card that gave me that option. It stays with you, right? It's like you get something and you have to see it every single day. So I think this is just a tremendous way to drive engagement in a differential way. But like I said, we don't necessarily see it as competition. We see it as a new option for our consumers.
And just to build on what Arika said was, well, 2 things. One is I'm upset you have a Chase card and not one of your own products, but that's a different conversation.
I didn't say that was my only card. That's one of my cards.
One of the things we have seen is because we can compare for our client those who've actually utilized the pay with points option versus the others. And one of the big concerns our clients had was, well, if you're enabling microtransactions, am I A, going to lose interchange, and B, am I going to get attrition? And we actually see the opposite. Look, we did have a small percentage of customers who burnt their points from a card that was dormant. But what we did see was the customers who have utilized the pay with points opportunity actually have, first of all, utilized it multiple times. Now, pandemic and Amazon may be skewing some of that data, but more importantly, we've seen that group spend on their card increase vis-a-vis the people who haven't actually used it. So we're seeing a higher engagement, a higher card utilization, which offsets the potential of an interchange loss, and that's not really a loss because they would have redeemed for something anyway. Mm-hmm. But we are seeing an increase in spend and utilization of a card, which is a huge win for all of our customers.
Yeah, and that seems to be something that Chayton identified as well. So that's interesting, and that leads me to my next question: is what has the feedback been from stakeholders or customers regarding pay with points? Maybe Chayton, I can start with you on this one because obviously you've been in it for some time. Do you do the analysis and do you get the feedback, and then is this clearly been identified as an opportunity going forward?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And think I'll break this apart into two parts. PayPal's a two-sided network, right? We have, nearly 400 million customers, but then we have slightly over 30 million merchants on the other side. And the feedback has been positive for both cohorts, and a lot of what we talked about is there. So from a consumer perspective, they love the fact that it's frictionless, it's easy, the intuitive nature of the redemption flow. They can use as many points as they like on the merchants they like. And the thing is, all they need to do is have their card in the PayPal wallet. That's it. And the next time they go to checkout, they'll see the pay with rewards option right there. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to like opt in, etc. All that is handled behind the scenes with our partnership with the issuers and the other partners. On the merchant side, I think there are three things really to hone in on and emphasize. I think actually, maybe not on the merchant side, but maybe on the issuing bank side rather. And it's really these 3 points we've talked about. One is this reduction in liability, because points earned can be a liability on the balance sheet. So a solid redemption proposition increases the health of the balance sheet. Second, it's driving this incremental spend and really looking at it from a medium to long-term perspective, because there's incremental engagement vis-a-vis the control group. And being live with so many issuers, we've seen that theme across the board for all issuers. And the third is it's really a unique value prop for these banks to market, to position their cards in a unique way for their customers. So really, overall, very positive feedback from merchants, from customers, and from issuing banks from our perspective, and wanting to do more, and wanting to grow the portfolios, expand, and try to increase the spend on rewards through PayPal.
Interesting. Well, Arika, maybe I'll spin this question a little bit differently for you, obviously, because of your stakeholders. Is this something that people or your clients are coming to you, or your membership is coming to you saying, hey, look, we want this product? Or is it something that they're dabbling in, or that you're having to find that you have to push a little bit further for them to get a level of understanding?
Yeah, I would say probably 50-50, right? We've got a wide range of sort of mid-market to small market clients. So we had a lot of our bigger credit unions came to us and actually said, can we launch this? We saw one of your competitors, I will not name them, launch with PayPal last year. Is this something that we could do? And then some of our largest clients are actually, we're looking to partner with Jonathan on many of his pay with points engagements. So it's certainly something that was brought to our attention to just look at the whole pay with points redemption channel. And then, we have the deal with PayPal already inked. So we have gone out to our issuers, and I just can't express the level of excitement we've heard, especially when we say the words PayPal, right? Everyone knows they're doing extremely innovative things, and oftentimes the tail of clients that Fiserv has, it's much harder for them to do a deal with PayPal. So that's why they have Fiserv here. So we've heard tremendous feedback, and just the ability, like Chairperson said, to open up 30 million merchants. To enable you to pay with your points with those merchants is just tremendous, and it's a huge opportunity for our banks. So we've seen mixed feedback. We have to do a decent amount of explaining for some of the smaller folks, like what is pay with rewards, what's it going to do to liability on your books. Do we really want some folks just want to have a rewards program for the sake of having rewards and not really actually spend on it. So we have to have this conversation about driving differential engagement and making the card top of wallet, spending more, swiping, transacting more as a result of this program, not just thinking about it as a cost. So we've seen it sort of 50-50, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And Jonathan, obviously, is an enabler of these types of transactions. What are you hearing?
So, so we have three constituents, right? We have customers, members, and retail partners. And so we get feedback from all three. And a favorite story I've heard about, I tell about this is I was at my parents' house, and my stepmom said to me, hey, I used my points on Amazon yesterday. It was such a great frictionless experience. And my response to it was, okay, after 25 years, you now know what I do for a living. And she, it's a prime example of somebody who had points in their wallet, in their card, and just never used them. And so, from all the member feedback we've got from participants in a program is hey, get us more. We want more places. And that's why, we love the PayPal concept, because it gives us, I don't know, half the world, 3/4 of the world as redemption options. And we're seeing that. From our clients' point of view, we are seeing, like we've said before, massive engagement, massive reduction in liability, all the right drivers of a program. And from our retail partners, it's increased spend. And so so we're seeing a great value proposition. And we did get a question that we've spoken about, which is, on liability reduction, do banks really want to have their points redeemed? And so we have two kinds of clients. We have financial institution clients, and then we have hospitality loyalty clients. And it's a very, very different world. Our banking clients have a liability on their books, and it is a funded liability for the most part. And any time you can remove that liability, it is good. But if you can remove it in a cost-effective manner, it's great. And so we've been able to proven that over and over again, that we are typically between 10 and 30% less than travel or cash when we go after these programs. And we're still getting the uptake without any negative member feedback. And so that has a massive impact. It is a bigger challenge when we get into the hospitality space, where those miles or hotel points are not fully funded, as well as when I redeem it out from my own properties, I'm getting it at a higher discount. So we've tended to restrict it to high value customers, or people who are my top customers in the group, and controlling it a little bit, just to make sure we don't have a run on those kinds of point banks. Even though we can do it at an equal or lower cost, they're still trying to get it to come back into the ecosystem. So it's a little bit of a schizophrenic response from those customers, and their members are craving the flexibility, and they really want to keep those members happy. But it's how do you balance the two of them?
Okay. So I guess as we're talking to pay with points, or points as an alternative currency, how does this tie in not only to your overall corporate strategy, but what is the future of these opportunities for you and your brands? And Arika, why don't I start with you on that one?
Yeah, so I'll look into my crystal ball here. So I would say on the pay with points side, just generally on alternative currencies, obviously we want to launch pay with points at several vendors over the next year. And then, starting to get into fuel, of course, that was one that I mentioned. So really paying at the pump with your points, being able to see those directly at the pump. Student loan repayment, using your points. I mean, effectively just thinking of this as just a different way to pay for stuff. So student loans, merchants, fuel. We are looking into cryptocurrency. So that's another big thing for us right now. We haven't made as much progress there, but we're seeking ways with some of our partners to figure out how to convert loyalty currency into those different forms of assets like cryptocurrency. So we already have launched some of that with our redemption partner backed through You Choose Rewards, but we'll be looking to do more with that over the next year or so, as well as dipping our toes more into the pay with points space.
Chetan?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, we're all in on pay with rewards, pay with points. We've grown the platform immensely with many issuers in the US. So we want to go on that journey, particularly in the US, to enable more issuers directly, or through partners such as Arika and Fiserv. Separately, when we think about growth, we think about expanding portfolios, enabling the cash portfolio as well as the proprietary points portfolio as well. Separately, we've talked about, for us, we really think of this as a global phenomena. Obviously, some countries and regions don't allow for rewards to be a thing because of capped interchange, but other geographies do. So wherever it's relevant, we feel as a large two-sided network, it's our responsibility to give those consumers, merchants, and issuers that opportunity to scale pay with rewards through PayPal. So we're exploring international expansion, and really I'm super excited to say Australia is going to be our launch country this year outside the US, and we're exploring a number of others as well. So really we're neck deep into pay with rewards, and really excited about growing that through partnerships and directly.
It is interesting to hear that, pretty much the consumer expectation and consumer need is universal. It's not necessarily specific to one market or another, which is interesting. Jonathan, your thoughts on that?
Did you see I unmuted this time?
Good for
Probably. I'm trainable. So for us, it's so where we're going next is, as Eric had mentioned, fuel. So we've got a fuel option coming on board. We have the same mandate across everything we do, which is we need to engage a member in the network place or whether it's online, in store, that they're used to working today. We do not want to change consumer behavior. So even on the crypto side, our concern around crypto was, because most of our clients are banks, how do we ensure we're compliant with KYC, AML, and all of those, the other issues that come with dealing with a cryptocurrency. And so right now we're in negotiations with a couple of the better known wallets out there. And the idea being that inside of that wallet, we will be a funding source, so that the member themselves will have, we allow that wallet to take care of all of the US regulatory requirements, global, whichever market we're in from a regulatory point of view. We need to de-risk the crypto engagement from a bank's point of view. And so, anybody who's SEC regulated helps us in a way. And so we're looking at that as the next level of integration on the crypto side. We don't really need to be in the crypto space. We want to enable it on one of the leading wallets. And we've had a question on charities. Same idea for us. So we are talking to some of the big charity consolidators about enabling our technology right into their platform. The challenge with the charity as it relates to loyalty is it comes up in every single member engagement survey, customer survey. We really want to have charitable donations. However, consumers tend not to utilize it in a major way today. We're seeing it as a minor redemption option. So we want to change that. We want to change that in a way where if you are doing a monthly donation to your favorite charity, how do I enable that with points? And if you have enough points, we'll take your points out. If we don't have enough, we'll charge your card at the same time. And so we want to make it as well. It always for us comes back down to, if it is meaningful to you as a participant, we want to make it as frictionless and easy as possible for you to participate in the program and get the maximum value. And if that includes utilizing your points, we want to enable that.
Just to also just kind of on the charity piece a bit, from a PayPal perspective, we obviously enable redemption on many different types of merchants and charitable organizations in that category. What we see is just general adoption of the product. What we see with charities, though, a lot of it's about edification, education by the charity itself, that this kind of feature exists to attract, say more donations. We've done this with some of our issuing partners where we promoted donations specifically during a certain time period last year. So we definitely saw an uptick then. But I think, again, go back to the neat feature with PayPal is once say a charitable organization has PayPal integrated and we're live with our issuing partners, the points piece will just show up as an option for consumers to use. So again, it's very flexible if PayPal as a payment method is integrated. So it doesn't require any additional changes from the charity or any other player. On the recurring piece, we do intentionally suppress that from Pay with Rewards. Our customer feedback, what we've found is customers sometimes forget what they set as their preferred instrument for a recurring payment. And in our surveys, that there was reticence in terms of not realizing that their points were getting depleted. So we made a conscious decision to focus on non-recurring use cases, but we're always open to doing additional consumer marketing and research to see if we need to reassess that decision and pivot and opening up recurring payments as well. But at least for the time being, we've kind of suppressed that for the right customer experience.
Yeah, and Nick, I'll just add a little bit here, just from the issuer, I'll say aggregator perspective. We sort of thought about it in a couple different ways. So obviously, pay with points. Using it to pay off merchants. I mean, that's step number one, right? I mean, you can go to so many merchants and use pay with points. I mentioned student loans, and I definitely should have mentioned charity, but we did get a great question on that. So we're looking to turn on points directly as a way to pay certain charities and potentially using what the issuers recommend. Student loans is another thing, right? So being able to use your points. There's a lot of companies out there today that will allow you to use your points to pay off student loans. So it's the same idea as what Chayton just mentioned on charities. But the other thing we haven't really talked too much about is point of sale. So, Jonathan mentioned his vision for the future, and I share that vision, right? At Fiserv, we have Clover. Being able to go to a Clover terminal, or really any terminal, but I want to obviously promote Clover here. You go to a Clover terminal, you go to swipe, you swipe your card and you see pay with points. And therefore it doesn't matter who the endpoint is. You can just apply your points directly to that transaction. So same idea as PayPal, but just expanding, really allowing you to use points as currency anywhere on anything is I think, the future vision for our team.
Oh, Arika, thank you. You had also raised earlier a discussion point, which I thought was really interesting, just in how you start to engage a new generation of consumers. And in particular, what we're hearing in a lot of pretty much many publications are suggesting that their needs are more around social responsibility, things that are more personal. How do you feel that Pay with Points is helping brands achieve those objectives?
Well, I can start here, but I think it sort of goes back to what we just talked about, right? Where the reason why we're hearing so much more about charities and student loans now is because people are taking a bigger interest in, I would say using points as a way to pay down debt. I mean, that's one of the things we're actually seeing more with the younger generation is less credit, more debit, or more using the cash they have on hand. And then student loans, charity, being able to donate your points to charity. I mean, that's something that I think it maybe existed 10 years ago, but it's shown up in a new way in the past year, 2 years. So to me, we've absolutely seen it, and it's been a rise for us. Obviously, we listen to the feedback from our issuers. And so we've heard this time and time again that our issuers believe, or they know that they can get more millennial, Gen Z, if they tap into more of the local community and more of the social aspects that would attract that base to their credit union or bank.
Chayton, any comment on that?
No, I echo a lot of what Arika said. Nick, I would add to the fact that I think a lot of it for us comes down to our merchant side. Enabling PayPal in merchants that are the most relevant for this demographic, the millennials and the Gen Z. So having that presence there naturally allows for that redemption, and that's a place where these cohorts go and they want to go and they want to shop at. So really being mindful of how and where we're integrating PayPal as a payment method, and make sure we're doing justice to our program and articulating that value prop to our merchant base. Additionally, we actually do a ton of what I like to call platform level marketing of Pay with Rewards. Working with select influencers and sponsored content, etc., that targets these specific demographics. So a very conscious effort to engage that audience, because a lot of it also comes down to, yes, the presence of the functionality, but also the awareness of it, and really working with our internal stakeholders to make sure we can position Pay with Rewards using sponsored content, influencers, paid media, to make sure we surface that awareness of the feature for this cohort to go discover.
There's only a few minutes left, so I want to touch base or pick up a couple of questions that came through from the audience. One in particular, do you think there's a lack of interest from customers to give points, or is it more of a technology issue? I think this is a reflection of penetration, maybe the concept that it's moving a little slower than expected, faster than expected, but ultimately, is there some sensitivity around that? Chayton, why don't I start with you on that one?
Yeah, it's been a long journey for us to start from one issuer to get to 7 large ones and 600 small, medium ones over the years. But Pay with Rewards is a priority for us with most of our products, with all of our products. I want to say we want to scale, and we want to scale fast and bring the feature to the masses. A lot of it comes down to kind of, I think Arika touched upon this. Hey, for some issuers, we have to educate them, take them on their journey, highlight the value proposition, and that has its own life cycle. And then comes the integration work. So for us, I think a lot of it comes down to education and then integration. So if there are means to integrate faster and quickly and more rapidly, I think we would definitely entertain those mediums to scale quickly in the US and internationally.
Jonathan?
Yeah, so the question on charities is, I think it's been a friction point of view, where if, and this is where we think PayPal's making a humongous difference in that capability. If I need to go, we're doing a COVID relief drive, and I go online, today I'd have to go somewhere, decide to, pick my points and go through a process to get it there. If I go onto the Red Cross site or whatever it is, and I see the ability to use my points right then and there, we get to we'll get a much, much higher uptake because it's frictionless. And that's what it always boils down to is, how can we make this as seamless and frictionless for the customer? And especially if you think about the younger generations where we've got student debt and, as Arika, and limited cash. So the ability to use my points for good, I think, has a humongous impact on long-term loyalty and connectivity for that group to the brand.
Arika, any comment?
I'll just say, I mean, these Chayton and Jonathan are leading the technology side of the house.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they've done a lot of the work to help us figure out how to take this to the masses. So, I mean, that's the reality of it, right? This started with a few issuers and PayPal, and then I know Jonathan worked directly with Amazon to start. So there's been a lot that have paved the way, and I think it's been around for several years, and we're really just now starting to see the rise in mass scale. So thank you to you guys for paving the way for us.
So we're in the final few seconds. So I just wanted to give an opportunity for us to wrap up and provide any final comments. So we'll just go around the panel and start. Arika, how about with you? Just anything you want to talk to just to wrap up for today.
I'll just say, one small thing is just that I think this is just going to open up the world to so many new opportunities. So for us, moving this downstream from just the big banks and offering it now to small, medium-sized banks for Fiserv is just going to tremendously blow up pay with points for our base. So I'm very excited about what the next year holds. I think there's so much that's going to happen, innovation in terms of all the different endpoints we talked about today, point of sale, merchants, charities, student loans, fuel. Hopefully there comes a day where you can use your points for every single thing ever out there. So I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a big opportunity, and I think I'm happy that you guys asked me to be a part of the panel today. So thank you.
You're welcome. Chayton, any quick response? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think the quick one would be it's hard to come across products and features that help the ecosystem across the board, and this is one of them, right? I think Pay with Words helps the consumers extend budgets, merchants tap into the online liquidity, drive additional spend, the issuing banks, get a unique value proposition. So again, I think I'm stoked to see what's up ahead in the next 12 to 18 months, and again, thank you for asking me to join the panel. It's been great.
And the final comment to you, Jonathan.
So I think, the reason why I agree with Eric and Chayton, this will change the world. And what we like most about it is that we still get to control where someone can redeem their points. And so there is still a little bit of a brand protection, and we're not into the cashback, and we've created that connection. And so we've got a great balance between the ubiquity of using my points wherever I can and still protecting a brand on the way out. And so we're excited about this. And there was a direct question on consolidating. It's a whole long topic, and happy to have a private conversation around that one, but it's boiling the ocean. Right?
Yeah. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of the session. I'd like to thank our panel, Arika from Fiserv, Chayton from PayPal, and Jonathan from Engage, and of course the Payment Summit for the opportunity to explore pay with points. Obviously a trend that we're going to keep an eye on, and looking forward to seeing where it comes out. Thanks, guys.